Hey, what is going on, Automotive Nation? And thank you for joining me for another Game Changer holiday series. Man, I'm telling you guys, I've had so much fun recording this series, like an absolute blast just recording it. And it is the holidays, man. I hope you're enjoying the cold weather. I'm literally just looking at trying to book my next ski trip, trying to figure out where I'm going to go next. So I'm in the mood. It's that time of the year, and I'm so excited that you guys decided to come join us. We're going to let a few people kind of get into the stream for a minute here, and then we will go ahead and get started. Today's stream, guys, I'm excited about today's one because I got to talk to well, obviously like two of the biggest like data geeks like I know in the industry, Jim and Jim. I got Jim Roach from T2 Modus, and I got Jim Daly with Convergence. And boy, guys, when these two are a pair. The conversation was a lot of fun. I know you guys are going to enjoy the conversation for sure, and just listening to just their wealth of knowledge, but just not even their knowledge, their just general passion for this industry is just really, really cool. I mean, they truly do care about the industry and what's going on, and as dealers, that we're really targeting the right people at the right time with the right message. And I'm excited to get into this conversation, guys. So I know there's some more people kind of coming into the live feed right now. So I will go ahead and get this conversation started. Make sure that you guys stick around after the conversation. At the bottom here, you can see this scrolling thing that's going to give you the phone number, all right, to text in your questions. And hopefully, we're going to get Jim and Jim with me. I feel like that. What's that hockey movie? Jim and Jim. I don't know. Someone's going to post in the comments. Anyways, I'm going to have Jim and Jim with me, and we're going to dive deep into all things data and data fulfillment, and what a timely message as we're all getting ready for 2026. This is truly going to change the game when it comes to your marketing operations. When you become a data first dealership, man, things really open up and your operations become incredibly efficient, and marketing becomes just a well oiled machine. So I'll go ahead and start today's conversation.
Almost 50 years in the business now, I can tell you I'll take accountability over training anytime because most of them do know what to do. If we can hold them accountable for it, they're going to do it.
Good data is like sushi. We need to make this bumper sticker for sure.
Yeah, it's super, super fresh. What we advise our dealers, national do not call. I'm shocked at how many fulfillment companies don't do that.
The dealership's most powerful tool for engagement.
It's the time and space that you can reach them. The study that I always cracks me up is a lot of times we'll send like a service scheduler. Don't call the store, don't do anything. It astounds us that 3 weeks later, they go back and re-engage with that link, and then that's when they convert.
If they're a data reseller, you don't know when that data was accurate. Hell, I've seen data being sold as clean data. These are key questions you have to ask both your data partner and your data fulfillment partner.
Because we are using federal government data and have federal government investigational data, we're able to give you a full background check in under a minute.
We market with the intent of selling a car, not necessarily just getting that click.
We're also in this space where relevancy matters. People live out of their phones, no surprise. That's not a future, that's now obviously in the past of where we're at. We're heading down a space now where obviously with AI and Google and everything that we're heading down to. But really I think we're heading is that dealerships are fighting the everyday battle of just staff, training. Who do you have? And I think Jim and I, the reason why we've always done really well together is that accountability factor.
Welcome to the Strategy with Jason podcast. Tune in for everything you need to know regarding the automotive industry. Here's your host, Jason Harris.
Hey, what's going on, Automotive Nation? It is Jason Harris here, and thank you for joining me on another episode of the Game Changer Seminar. I don't know why I sound like a game show host, but this is what you guys are getting. Hey, thank you guys for taking the time to join us today. Because you've taken the time to watch this or listen to this right now, you are a game changer in yourself. All right, me and my team have looked wide and high and far to bring in some of the best game changers in our industry. And guys, these are truly vendor partners that are helping you move the needle in your operations, bring more to your bottom line, and positively affect your gross profit. And I'm super excited to have Jim and Jim with me today. I got Jim from Convergence and Jim from T2. I know it's going to be interesting. I'll come up with some acronyms for both of them because, in our industry, we love a good acronym. But hey, big round of applause for Jim and Jim. Come on up, guys. What's going on, Jim? How you doing? And Jim, how you doing? This is almost going to be comical, guys. This is going to be fun. Okay, to my right, I have Jim R. with T2. And to his right, we have Jim D. All right, with Convergence. So here's what I'm gonna do, guys. I know it actually sounds like I'm saying Jim D. Right? Maybe it's because I've been drinking a little bit. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. This is what we do in Nashville, guys. I'm glad you've decided to join the show. Here's what I'll do. I'm gonna go JR and JD kind of through the conversation, just so everyone out there, we kind of know who we're talking to. And everyone that's listening, you guys know as well. Guys, thanks so much for taking the time to come jam with me today. I'm super excited to get into it. Whenever I get to talk about data, I got to be honest with you, I am a data geek. I wear the badge. I got my little merit badge. I left it at home, but it's usually here. It says Data Geek on it. I wear that very proudly. And man, what a cool time in our industry to be both on the data and the data fulfillment side of the business. For a lot of you guys out there watching, listening, we're going to go over some cool strategies, tactics, some did you knows that you may not have known before. But here's what I like to do, guys. I love kicking off these with a little origin story because no one just wakes up one day and goes, yeah, that's where I'll go build a business. Automotive space. So let's start there. JR, what got you into automotive? And then JD, I'm going to ask you the same thing.
Yeah, well, unlike anybody else, it didn't do it on purpose, right? So, yeah, I started with being a tech at the age of 13, and then fixed cars, sold cars, went to college, got out, but then I did a stint in law enforcement, and that's why we have access to the data we do today, which is a long story. Sold cars, bought into a dealership, bought some more dealerships, sold dealerships, started some companies, and here we are.
So you got into your blood, man, at a really early age, right?
Yeah, I really did.
Did you always like cars? Was that like a childhood thing where you just...
No, I actually like lawnmowers. I learned how to fix them. Learn how to fix them, and it kind of carried over.
Hey, I get it. If it's got an engine and some wheels, I'm usually
Sure.
down for it as well.
Yeah.
So it doesn't surprise me that the industry got into your blood, and even as your time that you spent in law enforcement, you still ultimately kind of came back around full circle to really kind of end up in the industry. That's how it was for me. It's kind of like that episode from that scene from The Godfather where, like, just when you think you're out, they suck you right back in, right?
Exactly.
So doesn't surprise me at all. JD, for you, how in the world did you pick automotive, man?
Similar story. I mean, I got in 99, started selling cars, and then, car business. They hook you young, and you just get into it. So was in the dealership space for 13, 14 years, and then got out right before COVID, and then kind of moved over to this side of the fence. So, but yeah, they got me. Just how it works. You start selling cars at that age, and can't fight the paycheck at that age for sure, especially back then. So, yeah.
And once you get into it, you're into it, right? Like,
never
get
leaves
bit by the
blood.
bug.
And I'm a car guy, so you can't. I was the 3-year-old kid pointing out cars driving down the highway.
Okay, so you sound like me too. I remember as a kid, I played this game with my dad. We did a lot of road trips, right? And so, like, as the car came by the head, you had to be able to tell the car. As it got closer, you got less points. Farther away, you kind of knew it. So I knew what a set of Vega headlights looked like from a good solid couple miles away. Well, guys, look, I'm excited to get into this, right? Because I think as an industry, we become more data aware. I still think there's a lot of information out there that we don't know. And so I love kind of going through you guys with this kind of like 101 of just like, we're going to start up with first party data because that is all what we're sitting on. Look, as an industry, we're told, dealers, that we're sitting on a gold mine of data. There's gold in that mine, right? But look, at the bottom line, if it ain't accurate, there ain't no gold, all right? It is about as worthless as a nickel penny. So let's start there, guys, real quick. First-party data. Jim, from the data side, and then also from the fulfillment side, because again, if it's not accurate, being the fulfillment, it's just, there's a lot of inefficiencies there. How can dealerships right now take that first-party data and just make it as accurate as possible?
Yeah, so there's it seems like a lot of confusion around cleaning data, having clean data. What does exactly that mean? So kind of starting at what is data. Data is a point. Data is a point in time in which things were aligned. So my name, and in our systems and everything dealers do anything with, a person is the most important piece, right? So Jim Roach. But with Jim Roach has lived at multiple addresses. I've owned multiple vehicles over the years. I've had multiple phone numbers and multiple email addresses. So having somebody come in and clean your data, you now have static data.
Yes.
It's now become wrong again. So what we believe very much is in dynamic data. We believe in just in time, kind of like sushi.
That is probably one of the best analogies I have. I feel like this would be a bumper sticker, right? All right. Good data is like sushi. We need to make this bumper sticker for sure.
Yeah, it is. It's got to be like super fresh. So to be that, everything we do, we pull all kinds of data in from a guy who sold a car to 9 years ago and haven't seen him since. Dealers don't understand under the Driver's Privacy Protection Act, they have the right to update that data forever in terms of every vehicle that he owns and will own and is going to change. So if I'm about to have a conversation right now, I want to order my sushi right now, and I want it to be right now.
Because you're 100% right. I mean, even for myself, I mean, I just think I've moved 3 times in the last 9 years. 6 years. I've moved 3 times in the last 6 years. I've gone through 5 vehicles, between myself and my wife. Not only that, my cell phone number has changed multiple times. I mean, honestly, I think back sometimes the people I would have even known 6 years ago, I don't know how the hell they would even get a hold of me in any way or form like that. So you're right. It's got to be as fresh as sushi. And so, okay, so GR, now this is what comes to you. So, all right, we're going to bring you fresh as sushi data. Now, do you always get fresh as sushi data, or are you getting some day old, gas station stuff?
Yeah, there's times with data for sure. But I mean, to piggyback on that, I agree. I mean, the sushi reference is actually spot on, because in today's times, I always say behind closed doors, there's actual intelligence that goes into actual strategy. And if the data is wrong and not relevant or not efficient, you're just kind of hitting noise. And I think in the automotive space, we hit a lot of noise. We hit a ton of noise, right? Yeah. And if you're not relevant, our company's SMS focused, which is, I feel, the best relevant way to get to that one-to-one conversion, but you can't do it if your data is just not there. So if you're operating at a higher throughput, you're just getting a higher conversion with a much smaller tactical strategy. You're not broad stroke. And how many times in the industry now you spend X to do Y, you could spend a little less and probably get 10X more results. Your ROIs go up. And when you start seeing data and fulfillment produce ROIs at like 14, 15X, it makes a huge difference. On
huge.
That, and you can reduce spends, you just get more tactile, and it just helps the stores.
Well, not only is there an efficiency and a cost savings element to it, but I think for a lot of people out there, if you're a marketer and you're watching this right now, the accuracy of your data, if you got day old like sushi, you can get penalized for this, right, JR?
I mean, 100%. I mean, what if the sushi's dead?
Right?
A piece of blowfish that you're not supposed to have, I mean, that will happen. And so, Simpsons episode, can't help myself. But, but seriously, Homer for 24 hours thinks he's going to die. That happens. And customers, when they're sent something that's not relevant, what are you causing? I've heard stress today. I've heard that.
100%.
Yeah. That's what happens.
And not only can you get penalized by the customer, you can also get penalized by the
100%.
channel as well. I mean, email. I think of email now. It's funny, guys. I'm from that era, all right, where when I started as a marketer, all right, email open rates, yes, I know it sounds crazy. I'm going to say this number, but you can think I'm nuts. It could exceed over 60 to 70% open rates in email. Now, I understand the world has changed, industry has changed, but man, if you're sending out, a lot of us do, we'll send out mass people, they're our customers, right? But if a good chunk of those guys, you could get penalized very, very quickly. I've seen dealerships' emails get shut down because a marketing department went and sent a piece to an old database that just had an unrealistic amount of inaccurate data.
Kind of dive a little bit into the elements.
Absolutely.
So, the devil's in the details. And again, a lot of confusion, a lot of smoke and mirrors. Let's just start with the vehicle ownership, right? So Jim Roach is supposed to own this car based on what? So the guys that are out there mostly doing this are the credit bureaus, and they have some latency, and that latency can be months. But let's just pretend for a minute that they're not that latent. So a guy had re-registered his car 2 months ago. The credit bureau also then says, well, we want to be absolutely sure. So that car was originally registered on this date, and this loan was originated around that time. So it makes sense that they're tied together, and he had that off. He registered the car 2 months ago. So he must own it. Okay, that's reasonable. In our situation, we have no latency. We have the same source of data. If you buy the car today, get pulled over tomorrow, we're tapping the same source that officer's tapping to say, oh, who's this registered to? Even if it's on a temp tag. So, but let's just say you re-registered that car a month ago. You traded it 3 days ago. We pick up every trade in the country every day, over 160,000 VINs traded daily. We pick up every car that's been totaled, every car that's had a salvage estimate done on it, every car that's been exported out of the country, stolen and unrecovered. 14 points. So first of all, you own the car. Now, where do you live? Okay, national change of address also lags.
Yep.
We've got tons of first-party, not just dealer, but also third-party servicers. When's the last time that car, that guy were together? What address did he use? That email address you referenced, has it been rebounced using a grade listing technique? And very few have. And so we use a very, very sophisticated pre-bounce. But when it comes to the phone, the most important thing you can do, text or call, we have tested that number all the way to the switch right now. And we're telling you that that phone is on. We're telling you it's textable. We're telling you it's his. So each one of those elements, when somebody goes, oh, we're going to clean your data, yeah, okay.
Sure.
Each element, what does that mean?
There's a difference between clean and accuracy. And JR, I'm sure you've seen this play out in when you guys go to fulfill on some of these. Can you maybe give an example where you're like, okay, there's a big difference between clean and accuracy when you guys go to fulfill?
Sure. I mean, a clean data file is you get any OEM list or you get anything else that they say is clean. They're giving you somewhat relevant data. I'll use that as an example. Well, it's not clean. It never is. Your self-serve, inaccurate, you ton of bad information. You talk about email. How many of us know na@na.com or none at AOL.com? Right?
Through my experience, a lot.
So, right. So, how that all works is, but again, you're getting anything from any third party that they're sending. You know how it all works. It just follows that chain of what you want to call it. So on our side, when we work with T2, we get a list and we work a data set. When you get a data set that's operating at like 92, 93% efficiency, consistency, you can't top that in the way that it performs. So going back to, you can use smaller sets to get the broader results because it's just going to convert.
That's right.
And then you're also, the big thing is you're not crushing your database. And dealers nowadays are, especially in smaller markets, there's only so much people in your PMA, DMA that you can market to. I don't care what anybody says. So at that point, if your DMA, PMA is X and you can only get to Y, your database is all that you have left. So you've got to maximize it and be relevant and make sure that you're communicating to them. And the only way to do that is accurately and efficiently. And that's how you have to do it. Going back to the data, yeah, everyone says they have clean data. We've tried different avenues, DMS direct, but it doesn't partner up where you get that file and you just get that instant conversion, the instant click, the instant communication back because it's relevant.
I'm glad you bring this up because I think for a lot of dealers out there watching and listening right now, when you're working with a data partner, and I really do emphasize question. And not only just like, will you work with your fulfillment partner and getting those email campaigns or those text message campaigns out there. When you're working with your data partner, you need to know, are they a data aggregator or are they a data reseller? And I hate to say it, but I've run into this situation many times where a company is cleaning data, and you mentioned this early on, which I think is super, super key. And this is why you have to ask this information, right? Because if they're a data reseller, you don't know when that data was accurate. It could have been months ago. Hell, I've seen years ago data being sold as clean data. These are key questions you have to ask both your data partner and your data fulfillment partner. And by the way, you want these two people to be working side by side with each other. I mean, honestly, they really should be. Now, guys, I know we've getting into a little bit of weeds here, but I want to get into, it's not only just about getting it accurate and getting it clean. I think one of the biggest things out there, because we're seeing this in the news, I know of an example just recently happened, is like, it's got to be compliant, all right? Just because we have the ability to doesn't mean we should market to an individual. Jim, I know with your background, this has been, between TCPA and DPPA and every other 4-letter and 3-letter acronym, the do not contact list, the do not call, how can a dealer ensure that not only are they getting accurate data, but they're getting compliant data?
Yeah, so the communication channels have everything to do with it. And if you look back, there's a Supreme Court decision back in 2015 that I think was pretty clarifying. Mm-hmm. Basically, mail anything you want to anybody about anything. My asterisk on that is don't embarrass yourself.
Thank
right?
you. How much mail I still get on a car I sold like 10 years ago. Anyways.
Right, so you can do that. I believe you can email anybody you want, so long as you have unsubscribed. That's what the court said. Mm-hmm. But when we got into the phone, under the TCPA, that's when it really gets tough. And understand that the federal law is the floor. Then the state laws are on top of that. Probably one of the most tough texting states is Florida, surprisingly. So basically under the TCPA, it tells you what you can't do. And we dodged a huge bullet where you would have had explicit consent. You can talk to me about this subject for this period of time, and that's it. The circuit court struck that down and basically said, look, we're doubling down on the 2012 law, which says you have to have consent. Didn't define it. So essentially what we advise our dealers is everything we take in, the first stop under TCPA is national do not call. Mm-hmm. I'm shocked at how many fulfillment companies don't do that. Especially if you're in the texting realm or BDC or anything else.
It's a must.
It's absolutely definitive. Sorry. So under that, the way that works on the TCPA is there's what we advise, and everything we get from rentals is marked do not call. Every record.
From a liability perspective, I understand that a lot of companies have taken that route of just saying, like, we're going to transfer ownership of the liability to somebody else, so we will default everything as being a do not.
Exactly. And so with the various sources that give us this information, none of your systems talk. Mm-hmm. So if somebody says, hey, don't call me, that may or may not get noted. That's a little DNC. That's a do not contact. But I'll tell you right now, we have over 90 million customers in governance in our database.
Wow.
60% are on national do not call registry. Mm-hmm. So if you take that and then you take a look at all the other opt-outs and all the other things that are there and the lack of saying I have proof that they've given me consent, our position is when in doubt, opt it out, which is 100% of the time, opt them out, and then depend on your exceptions. There are two: safety and performance of the vehicle.
Yep.
Recall. So therefore, that under recall, call anybody you want. I don't care what list they're on or how many times they opted out. Safety performance is an exemption. The other one is established business relationship. A lot of definitions on that, but our position is if they're driving your brand, you have that.
100%.
You have that. And so, but key to both of those, just like sushi, do they own that car right now? Or did they own it a week ago? Can you prove it?
Yes.
So for compliance, that's what we do. We keep everything in a repository. We are the central repository for all opt-outs, all national do not calls, and then the opting back in is done based on EBR.
Well, and again, this is one more step to getting closer to, JR, your realm, right? So, once the compliance side is addressed, how does, convergence layer in SMS in combination with your guys' conversational commerce, without creating just more risk or more, I guess, possible liabilities to the dealer?
I mean, the frank answer is don't be stupid. I mean,
There you go. You guys heard it now.
But
There
it's
you go.
candidly, it's been a learning curve for us. I mean, we've been in this space for about a little over 2 years now. So, but the basic gist of it is, if you think about, we're all car dealer people, right? OEMs hold stores accountable for all kinds of metrics. Service efficiency and service defection is a huge one.
Monstrous right now.
If you talk
a lot
to
of dollars tied
if
to
you
that.
talk to a BMW dealer or Mercedes dealer right now, that's the first go to, right? So permissible purpose and all these other things become into play with how you look at your database. But that all being said, if you're working your database and you're looking at your service retention, what is the store doing at that level to actually contact the customer? How are they going after? If a service advisor does it, a BDC does it, an AI tool does it, somebody is going to try and reach out to that consumer. And if you're doing with bad data, bad information, again, noise, bad phone number, are they actually picking up the phone call, all that stuff. So from a compliance standpoint, you have to make sure that it's relevant. We've been operating with about 2 years. I mean, an opt-out for service is like sub 1.2%.
Wow.
Right? So what it's telling you is that they're not opting out because they want that message.
Well, it's meaningful. It's meaningful.
It's
yes.
relevant.
Relevant,
I
yes.
preach relevancy all the time. If you're gonna, there's a reason why you send a service text and then like 3 weeks later they buy a car. Right? But that's okay. You're not. Look, no one should take all the credit in the world, if anything. But what you're looking for is that relevancy. And if you understand the data set, again, you're using that set to your advantage. It isn't just hitting somebody at 6 months because they haven't been in. Well, if they haven't been in 18 months or 12 months, let's start there. Why? They still own the car. Is there a reason? Have they fallen off the map? Is there something else going on? Just that relevancy at scale makes a huge difference. So it's just triggered events makes a huge difference. And that helps compliance because you're keeping the customer engaged into your systems, and that keeps them less opt-outs. They're opting in, whatever you want to call it, but they're staying in relevancy.
Yeah, it's not messaging people for the sake of messaging
Right.
people. It's that Spider-Man quote, right? Like, hey, yes, all right, being able to message people is a great power, all right, but with great power comes great responsibility, and it is responsibility. I mean, look, here's the bottom line, guys: 98% open rate with SMS. All right, 75% of your customers are saying that they would prefer you to text them, and I'm one of them, I mean, I just literally the last car I bought, I had to reach out to almost 9 different dealerships to find a handful that would commit to just communicating with me in that format because I just don't have the time to answer a call. And when I'm not working, I'm driving this kid to that one and this one over to this one, right? So there's a lot there. So I guess from a consumer's, perspective, we're preferring text message over email. This is real quick. I'm going to ask you, and then Jim, I'm going to follow you up with on this one. It's like, why do you think SMS has become the dealership's most powerful tool for engagement?
It's the time and space that you can reach them.
Sure.
I mean, you're getting them in that moment. To your point about 98%, but if your phone goes off right now and your red light's flashing, what do you want to do? You want to read the message,
The
right?
body wants to do it, yes.
The objectivity is people want to go back at it. And we've done a lot of studies. The study that I always cracks me up is a lot of times we'll send like a service scheduler link just to go to the scheduler. Don't call the store, don't do anything. It astounds us that 3 weeks later, they go back and re-engage with that link, and then that's when they convert. And I think the reality is what it teaches some of us is that they are still having to live their life. The kids have soccer practice, dance practice, whatever it is, football games. It triggers in your brain, hey, I am due for service.
Right.
And then it's like, I got to now go back and look, and you're providing that access and convenience and all the other tools with it to have them do it. But it's very interesting when you see a store, you send out 800 messages, and you're seeing 400 or 500 clicks. That tells you something. That tells you what the database is telling you, and the data is telling you because it's right. It's at the moment, it's triggered. That's what it goes through.
And this is a perfect segue over to what I had for for you, JD, and that is, once that's happened, now I need attribution. And I need to know what got attributed to that. I need to know just like how how do I score that lead? Is this someone that could potentially and is potentially going to buy something, or is this an 8-year-old at home looking at a GT 500 because it is cool, right? Like so I love the fact that I have both you guys up here because I'm able to bounce back between fulfillment and data. So how does T2 help dealers in connecting the anonymous text responders or those website visitors or those leads that may have come from Johnny who's 8 years old? How's T2 helping with that?
Yeah, so I'll speak to you from the lead standpoint because that's the easiest and the most succinct. But when a lead comes in, most of our dealers will echo that lead to us.
Okay.
And so we take, and it can be, hey, my name's Jim. Here's the email I used in college. Yeah. Do you have stock number, whatever? Because we are using federal government data and have federal government investigational data, and we own a private investigation agency, we're able to take that and reverse it into, well, his name's James, his wife's Elizabeth. He has these 3 cars in his garage that are financed by these companies, and we have the VINs. So we can also, depending on what the dealer wants, we give you full background check in under a minute. We can tell you just got out of jail, has a bankruptcy, et cetera. Or we'll also tell you they're 10 grand upside down in all the cars they have. So then the dealer can decide to do what they want with that information. But now that I have the garage VINs, we receive every single VIN traded every single day, listed on every single website in the country, 110,000 websites, 160,000 VINs a day come in traded. So you get the lead on Monday. I see one of his garage vehicles traded on Friday. I'll be able to tell you he's done it, which dealer he did it with, and stand by, and depending on how fast he is with getting to the title office, I'll tell you the zip, the VIN of what he bought, how the car's equipped, who financed it, and what was the deal structure. So that's attribution.
That's real attribution.
Yeah, the real thing.
And guys, I'm in so much love with this because, you guys have watched the podcast before. I've talked about this many, many times. As an industry, we've spent the last decade accepting attribution being a click, a video view, and we've been told that this is what we are supposed to, as a dealer. Well, this is what you want, this is what you need, which is crazy. I know that it sounds crazy, but I remember when I started in the business, it was like, all right, we marketed with the intent of selling a car. Not necessarily just getting that click, not necessarily just getting that video view. So that is real attribution, Jim.
The real deal.
That's the real deal, right? That's like, okay, I spent these dollars with my fulfillment partner. All right, I've got someone to at least inquire, but now I actually know. I know, did they really buy from me or did they buy somewhere else? Having that information really allows me to have a real ROI, not an ROI of clicks and I'll call them vanity metrics. There's some very healthy, large Google, sorry, something stuck in my throat, guys. Companies out there that would just that vanity metrics like that are what's important, but no. There is, guys. It is a possibility we can do this, and you guys have seen great examples of this. So this is going to be my next question.
Well, before you go
yes.
there, there's a second benefit. So when we take that lead and we expand that lead, and it's not just a lead. We can take an inbound email. We can take an inbound phone call. We can take, hey, if you got cameras on your lot, we can tell you this guy drove in. But once you've done that, once we've captured that, that is now a registered prospect, and therefore, if I'm the BDC person, I'm the salesperson, I'm now accountable. So when that guy comes, we get the lead Monday, the guy buys on Friday, and the GM storms out of his office because it was our brand, our facing competitor. What did we do to get this guy in?
Huge training opportunity here.
Absolutely. And I'm almost 50 years in the business now. I can tell you I'll take accountability over training anytime.
Yes.
Because most of them do know what to do. If we can hold them accountable for it, they're going to do it. If we get the guy in and they walk them, and the desk manager puts in their bad credit, and then we're telling you, hey, it's with Honda American Credit with no co-pilot, He's got some splaining to do.
You guys have explained to you. So everybody out there watching and listening right now, if you are tired of hearing your staff saying, hey, boss, they ghosted me, I'm going to tell you right now, you just need to reach out to this fine gentleman right here, all right, because there's no ghost. Something did happen, and T2 is going to be able to tell you exactly that. Now, look, guys, I know this has played out in real time. I know right now we've talked a little bit of just like, hey, this is from the familiar, this is what we can do data, but like, no, you guys have some real world dealer examples. JR, I want to start with you of, when this all aligns, all right, it can create some pretty amazing impact for the dealers. What kind of impact have you seen for dealers? Maybe an example you can share.
I mean, we've done a lot of work with Toyota stores, TLE programs, recall programs. I think that one of the biggest one I see is just that VIN conversion, getting to find that right customer. Recall has been a great space because it obviously avoids a lot of, let's say, the legalities, the legalese of what dealers are sometimes afraid or not afraid to do. But we have a really good client, just did a 90-day test. I think by the time we got through the first 90 days, you're averaging about 40 to 50 recalls a month. I think it was like 52 was the average, if I'm trying to think off the top of my head. But it's an import store, so high warranty pay, that makes a huge difference. And when you're finishing a 9-month, recall campaign, they're seeing 180 grand in gross on the bottom line. It makes a difference. But TLE has been a big push for us just to drive that percentage point where you see a 0.7. It doesn't seem like big numbers, but any Toyota clients know it is a big number when you move up that list and you get that efficiency. But it's at scale, it's marketability. When you hit that broad of a set, you can all of a sudden take it and move those needles. They're just good examples, just prime examples of what we do.
And Jim, I know you've seen this play out when the data's good and the fulfillment's good. Man, there are some needles that definitely can be moved. You got a quick example you can share with us?
Yeah, I mean, we've had a group now with a little over 20 stores, and they had capacity. So I'll give you that caveat. They had capacity in service, meaning they were making appointments within a day or so when we got them. But in the very first quarter, once we took their data, when we take it in, say average 80,000 records of rooftop after dedupe, companies that go in and use the credit bureau method will eliminate half of those.
Sure.
40,000. Well, we'll take that up to 120,000 because we've expanded a garage, the guy from 9 years
yeah,
ago.
that makes sense, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
it really expands. So by taking that information, the very first quarter with that dealer, we raised for the entire group, service revenue went up by 40%.
Jeez, guys, did you hear that?
Yeah, 40%.
40%.
And then
in the most profitable department my dealership has.
yeah, and it stayed up. And so, and since then, the BDC director for this group over the service side of the house, his bonus plan is month over last year month, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was.
He was happy?
It's a little bit of a challenge, but they have been up. The following quarter, they were up 30% over the quarter we raised them 40.
Wow.
So the bottom line is, but it comes down to, somebody said, well, what's the key? We've had a lot of dealers that we've given the exact same treatment in the data, but we used to say whether or not they have the guy, right?
Yeah.
But when we started working with Jim's company, we realized they really get us. They really get the data, and they really know what to do with it. And we really believe that if they're asking, any of your people are asking, your vendors are saying, hey, I'll be successful as long as you do these things in the dealership, you got the wrong vendor. What we're looking for and what Jim does really good at is we are assuming no one in the dealership is going to do anything.
Yep.
We want to just drive the traffic to the showroom floor, drive the traffic to the service drive, and assume these guys are going to do their jobs. And we can follow up and tell you whether or not they did.
100%. And guys, these are real numbers, real results. But when you are taking your fulfillment partner, your data partner, and you are injecting your people and better improved processes, because I'm sure they didn't just do that. I mean, they had to look from an operation. That's what I'm saying. Like the operational efficiencies, the operational needs of better people and better processes, when combined with technology, you guys can hear those are some real results. Look, guys, I know we're getting towards the tail end of our conversation, so I wanted to kind of take just the last little bit of the time we have here, really kind of talk about the future, because If you didn't know, everything we're talking about right now is not the future. This is this is actual what we can do right now when you find the right partner out there to work together. But I'm going to start. I'm going to start with you, Jr. The future of I'm going to get into the future of both data and the future of conversational commerce. Which, by the way, I love that. By the way, it makes so much sense, right? I mean, I think so too often, we call marketing and it all kind of gets bundled together. And conversational commerce is really what we're talking about. It's about making that connection with that person through ultimately getting them to take in action. But real quick for you, what is the future of conversational commerce?
I think we're heading down a space now where, obviously with AI and what we're doing and Google and everything that we're heading down to. But we're also in this space where relevancy matters. People live out of their phones. No surprise. That's not the future. That's now obviously in the past of where we're at. But really, I think we're heading is that dealerships are fighting the everyday battle of just staff, training. Who do you have? And I think Jim and I, the reason why we've always done really well together is that accountability factor. You go in with the assumption of how can I help you plug the holes, the needs that you want. And vendors are going to be asked to do that more and more because they don't have staff to accommodate that. Yep. And a Google and a Facebook, they're platforms. You're going to do that. But we're getting kind of full circle back to vendors, I think, and having some accountability on their side where they can provide a one-to-one metric. And I think the holy grail really is finding people that aren't afraid to show the warts. We have... but like of what they do, right? Not every vendor is perfect, but you're also looking for they're fully transparent. A text goes out, did they convert? Yes, text goes out X date, they converted X date. Sales text goes out, did they set an appointment? Did they buy the car? Whatever it is, you show that. And if you're able to provide that, the future in that world is that's transparency because dealers are suffering from that on the transparency and accountability on both sides of the fence. We heard today about people getting all the vendors together. The one gentleman said it. I agree. Let them work together, but don't be afraid to show that. I think the future is getting there, and it's that one-to-one communication is going to drive it. It's just getting there.
It is. It's huge. Jim, for you, the future of data, of dealer data, really, I mean, what do you see as on the horizon?
Yeah, well, the holy grail for us is in the very near future. Something that I've always wanted to do, going back to the days when I was a dealer principal back in the 80s. Back then, the company's still around, but the cross-sell could tell me everybody that transacted around me on my brand. Due to changes in laws and such, they can't do that anymore. But what we strongly believe, so my father-in-law's Air Force colonel, taught air combat, and so this thing called OODA loop, OODA. And so what it is the first thing is orient. Okay. So and think about it, you got 100 people flying around here going to buy a car this month in your PMA, right?
That's pretty much what's happening, yeah. Any given moment, 3% of my market's in market.
Yeah, so they're all flying around there, and then you got these competitive MiGs out there trying to shoot them down.
It's a good analogy.
And get them, and and so we got our F-16, and the idea is first we have to orient into that environment, and dealers can't because they can't know what happened longer. But that we're going to tell them with this new product that we're launching. It'll give a full market view. So last month, everybody that worked or lived in your area bought new or used. What did they get? So that's your orient. So that that's then you observe where am I in that?
Yes.
And we really want to focus on the ones you didn't shoot down. And so the OODA loop is is observe, orient, decide, and act.
Yep.
Repeat.
Fulfillment side. Yep.
And the guy that can do that cycle the fastest is the one to live to tell the tale in air combat.
That's awesome.
So that's the future of it, and it's right around the corner for us to be able to tell a dealer, this is all the commerce. This is what you orient to. Observe what you're doing. What did you miss? Let's correct. And that data is there, and it's coming soon.
I love that because for everybody out there watching, listening, you've heard me say this in multiple podcasts in the past. It is not about increasing your market share. It is about increasing your market share, right? Only so many vehicles can be sold into your market, all right? If you have an agency out there telling that they're going to magically increase that number, they're lying. The objective, all right, needs to be for you to increase the size of your pie. And that's what we're talking about here, being able to effectively do that at scale and at speed, I think is truly, truly something. Hey, look, I know we're going to go to a Q&A right now because I know there's probably a lot of people that have been watching and listening right now. They probably got some great questions. But for everybody out there watching and listening right now, we appreciate you. You are a game changer because you guys are watching this. We're now going to break into our Q&A. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to jam with me today. This has been a lot of fun. Thank you guys. We'll get into the Q&A now.
Thanks for tuning in to the Strategy with Jason podcast with your host, Jason Harris. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Happy podcasting.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? How you doing? Holy cow. I've been watching in the background just how many people have joined us from the YouTube link that we emailed out to everyone. And boy, you guys came out in masses this morning. So I love it. I'm so glad that you guys joined. You are a game changer because you joined. Hey, I got Jim Daly back in this backstage right now. I'm going to pull him up here in just a minute, guys. But boy, this was a really, really fun conversation to have with both Jim and Jim. And I'm going to bring up Jim Daly now. And guys, you've been texting in some questions. Here, hold on. Let me bring up Jim. Okay, let's add him to the stage. Here we go. Hey, Jim, can you hear me?
Loud and clear. You hear me?
I can hear you great, man.
Beautiful.
Man, people showed up this morning.
Wonderful.
They woke up and was, hey, I'm going to master my operations with data in 2026. I'm like, I'm even looking at the number, how many people are on. We have a huge number of people that are still on right now. By the way, guys, everyone, thank you for text messaging in your questions. I've just been bing. I know we got more questions than we probably actually have time to go through, but if we don't get to your question, guys, trust me, we will. I'll probably put them in the show notes down below so that you can go back and take a look and make sure that we get answered. And of course, you reached me. I know Mr. Daly here loves talking to people as well, so I'm sure you can reach out to either one of us. But let's get into this, Jim. All right, our first one's around just data accuracy. Okay, so here it comes. How often should a dealership my size, now, we don't know exactly what your size is, but thank you for saying that though, really be updating ownership info daily, weekly, or monthly? What are your thoughts?
Daily. I mean, it's a daily thing, right? I mean, if you don't have accurate information in the moment, how are you going to accurately communicate to that database, to that consumer? If they trade tomorrow and that listing data appears, and T2 Snap captures it, grabs it, that's important. You have to know that information before you send any form of communications. You're not wasting the noise. You're not wasting your time. So I would say daily.
Well, and I think for you being on that fulfillment side, being dealerships, data fulfillment partner, boy, you got to know that data is super accurate, right? I mean, because isn't that like the worst thing that could possibly happen to you, Jim?
Absolutely.
Is that you're going to work for a dealership, they're wanting to launch a campaign, and then you get it's a great campaign, but then you get this shitty list. Like
100%. I mean, I'm at a dealership now. We're actually one of our local to my home. Was interested, obviously, in all that we're doing, and a conversation 100% pops up about the fact that this data changes on the fly, and someone enters or leaves your market. You have to know, and before you send any form of communication, you want to make sure that you're actually paying for something that's going to hit somebody's inbox, whether it's texting, email, phone call. It doesn't matter. It needs to be relevant.
it's got to be relevant. It's got to be timely. I know we used the analogy a handful of times during our conversation about sushi. But dude, he can't be like, I mean, to your point, Daily, nobody likes, and that guy's he's not just saying that because that's his last name. He's saying that because that's it's the honest truth of it. No one wants to eat day old sushi.
No.
Sounds horrible. All right, let's get into our next one. Okay. This one's about customer contact issues. I dig this. Okay. Half my emails bounce. Should we still be emailing or just go to SMS only?
So the reason why
question, by the
emails are, that is a very good question. And in today's day and age with Google and how they've changed their algorithms and look for spam, one of the things that we do is, are you actually sending the email the right way? Is it through your DNS? Is it verified? And I think that in order to effectively email, you need to make sure that, yeah, you're not falling on spam filters and it's getting flagged. So, using proper data, then you verify your emails through your DNS and you send the emails constructively. And mass emailing is not necessarily always the way to go. I mean, why not go more targeted? Why not hit 5,000 people, not 30, with a more targeted message that is going to get a higher conversion rate? When you average 60-70% opens on 5,000 emails versus 10% on 30, what are you getting?
Exactly.
So I would not say that email is a dying science. I do believe that there's a place for email, but I don't think you should be emailing your database 4 or 5 times a month, or doing it. Is should be an awareness play for those folks that decide not to opt into texting or phone. They don't pick up the phone, but they'll read an email. But if, as long as it goes through and the messaging is relevant, it's
If the
there. But
message, yes, there you go. If the
right, and if
messaging
you're
is
in, it has to be unilateral communication. If you're trying to hit a specific database with a specific marketing intention, I would believe that email still has a space as long as it's done properly and effectively.
well, and I mean, look, for the individual that text message that in, you opened an email that we sent to you either yesterday or this morning and clicked to watch this video. So yes, email still does work. And to Jim's point, it's got to be relevant. All right. When you open up that email that we sent you yesterday or this morning, and you saw, our comment about mastering, operations through data-driven strategies, like that was relevant to you at that moment. You wanted to learn about new 2026 strategies. You clicked on that. You got to keep the content relevant. Another thing Jim said that I think I really got to harp on, because I've seen there's a huge difference between a verified email list and an unverified email list. And please, whoever is executing, all right, your data fulfillment campaigns, you can't, man, you got to be asking, like, what do they do? Where are they getting this data? How are they verifying this data? And then, Jim, to your point, I don't think people realize that, email's great, but the level of complexity that's required now because of email, and just how, like, you got to be very careful that you're not exhausting your DNS, that it's not getting flagged for spam on a regular basis. Like, it is definitely impactful, but I think that 1-2 punch of email and
Mhm.
SMS is a great strategy. Wouldn't you agree?
Agreed, 100%.
So keep emailing, but find out from whoever your partner is, and I hope they're a partner, not just a vendor. All right, how they're verifying it, and if they can't answer, Jim would be glad to help you and assist you with that. So great question. I love it. Okay, all right, here we go. I like this. We got a compliance. Oh yeah, here we go.
Oh boy,
Actually, we got a handful of compliance ones. So it was
I would
interesting.
figure.
They
I would
really ate
imagine.
up that whole section. Okay, now here's one. Okay, I'm going to throw this one out. We'll do a couple on the compliance side. All right. If a customer texts stop, does that apply to everything or just that message?
Oh, so the answer is it should be across the board,
Mhm,
technically. However, it depends on how the text is sent.
mhm,
If you are using vendors that use a 1-800 number or a short code and it's not a verified DLC number right through the store, there's ways around those conversations on what that should be. It's my resounding belief that if a customer doesn't want to be contacted in one form or another, they really don't want to be.
I agree.
And you have to watch opt-out rates. We've been in this space for about 3 years. We're kind of been behind the scenes for a while, but we don't average more than an opt-out rate of 1-2% on service messaging for these reasons.
That's small.
The reason that is because you're not ticking off your database with noise. And when a lot of times people see higher opt-outs is because you're sending them 5 texts at once, or they schedule the service and they're getting the reminder, then they're getting a, hey, I'm interested in buying your vehicle, and then they're getting 2 days later another reminder, and at this point they're just fatigued. They're like, enough's enough, and then they opt. So
Mhm.
internally in our systems, once they opt out with us, they opt. if they're out of our systems internally. We allow the dealer to then decide what's your choice. Do you want us to report that back, which most do? But at the DMS and CRM level, if they don't want to be texted, flag them, burn them. Don't text them. Other than
100%.
recall, there's no, the recall is a great way to make sure that you keep your database engaged both legally and through compliance.
Yes.
And it depends on your state. There's a lot there. And you want to make sure that you're asking these questions. It's a great question. We get asked it all the time.
Mhm.
And it really depends on what you want to accomplish. There's plenty of data there. You just have to be very careful. And it's all about messaging.
It
You
is.
want to make sure that you're not overdoing it and you're doing it effectively.
Yeah, and we're not just going sale, 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 buy, buy,
Or,
buy. Like,
exactly. 100%.
no, no, look, I'm with you. Look, for me, I one of the best practices I had when I was a dealer, and I would get these. And again, to your point, you shouldn't be getting a lot. If you are, there probably needs to be a deeper data conversation. Okay, you really need to be talking to your vendor, your partner out there, all right, and having a much deeper conversation. As long as the message is relevant, you shouldn't be getting a whole lot. But when you do get them, you should take a minute, maybe two, to just look back. What have I sent this person? Can I check off the box that we were relevant and it wasn't like, you want to buy a new car? You want to buy a new car? You want to buy you want to buy a new car? You want to buy a new car? Hey, you want to buy a new car? Are you going to buy a new car? Like
Yeah,
can't have too much.
100%. I mean, you gotta work your. I mean, services. What's the defection right now? We're saying 1 out of every 2 are not brand loyal. I mean, that's the
Oh, yeah.
highest it's been in
It's
a long time, right? So,
huge.
but why are you worried about? You've got to focus on that person that's not
Yes.
touched your database in 18 months, 19 months, or even 15 months, where they're just, what are they doing? Are they buying a car
That's
someplace
actually
else?
a
Are
good.
they what are they
Mhm.
doing? And sometimes it's just getting relevancy back, engagement back with the customer at that level. And it doesn't have to be you're giving something away or trying to sell them something. How about just
No,
don't forget that we're still here. And if your stores run
it
effectively
could
and
just
they
be a
get into
thing.
your exactly, and they get into your process, isn't that the goal? And I think with dealership churn rates with salespeople, it's the same thing that's always been. It's very hard to those people get lost. And when you
You
get
know,
lost in the sauce, guess what? They don't come back or
I
you get
was
them back too late and then you're overbidding to get them back. And there's a really good question. Rosa asked a really good question. What is the true cost of a bad record? It's an infinite number that it costs you to get them back. And, when you see that, I think it's important to know that it could cost you thousands of dollars to have a bad record because you're not going through it. You're
true.
focusing on somebody that is not there that might cost you thousands of dollars to try and work on a customer that might not even ever touch your store again because it's a bad lead. They don't own it anymore. Whatever it is, that number can be whatever it could be depending on what you're doing with it, especially if that person's 5 different vendors trying to target to get back into the store. Why?
Look, it adds up in a big way. I mean, I think the cost of just a bad record, it amplifies itself, right? It puts me on the list of I get tagged for spam. The more of those that I have, all right,
Yep.
the more time is spent, trying to communicate. So I mean, I also just think about time. I'm a dealer operator, so my brain is wired to think about time because it's literally the two things I cared most about in my dealership is time and money and how the two of them literally coexisted with each other, right? When I got I got BDC spending time on bad records. I got marketing spending time on backwards. I got sales spend. I got all these people spending time on just bad. Like that seriously eats away at profit in a really big way when they could be spending that time on the right individuals right out of the gate. Look, I know guys, you are still texting in some, and then I do see one just popped up from LinkedIn too. So I actually think that's a good one. So let's grab this one as well, real quick. As a consumer, what controls do they have over the data, especially when there's high profitability of the data not being accurate?
Yeah, I mean, I've always given Jim credit for how he goes about getting access to data levels and how serious T2 takes it. That they really want to make sure that it's you and the levels that they take to the probability of the data not being accurate from a percentage perspective that we find who use their data is very low.
Mhm.
The umpteenth levels that they go through to figure it out, it's not like you're just scrubbing it against the credit bureaus or, you're doing the listing data. They're all the multiple levels that they do, state and federal level DMV, and everything that T2 does. It is a way to get that throughput rate of in the 90s, easily, that you're actually targeting that data, and then knowing that if they buy out of that market, and if the accuracy, the efficacy is there, is very valuable. So my biggest point there would say is that that's the guardrails that are always in place to make sure that when a text or a phone call happens, that they want to make sure that it is, because the worst thing you want to do as a data provider is provide a data set that could be misconstrued improperly, that it's wrong. And then that's
And
how that
it
works. So
happens.
yeah, that's right. And you add levels, right? The more layers you put in, sure, maybe somebody gets scrubbed off. That is not necessary, but that's the point. You want to make sure that it's as accurate as humanly possible before you send any kind of engagement. And that also keeps them relevant in the marketplace too, that they're following that consumer correctly, that the
Exactly.
data is correct.
That is a very, very good point. All right, we're gonna go back here to the taxes real quick. Okay, I like this one. Talk a little bit about ROI attribution, which, I hate to say, but in a lot of marketing conversations, there's this a clear path, and there's a great question about it. How do I know if a text campaign actually sold a car or if the customer was coming in anyways?
Just had this question today as
Did
we
you
were
really?
sitting here. Yes,
Okay.
this
Are you sure
exact
this is not the
question.
same person?
I,
This
that
could be
might
the
be. They might be doing it. So it's a very good question. I start by what we do. Obviously, when we pull a list, it's a regimented campaign set that's just there, right? So we know at the granular level that list is being pulled and the goal of that data set of what we're using. It's a valid question. And I think that, look, how we run our company is very simplistic. I'm going to give you the whole picture, and my job is to then back into that picture, right? I can tell you how many appointments we sent and pushed into your CRM, and how our agents have engaged. That's one way. But I also say that if you do messaging properly, people are just going to show up in your showroom. They got a text from Jason that says, "Hey, I got your text." That's another way, right?
I
And if
agree.
you
What I would kind of add to it real quick, Jim, is just, um, like, is the text really intended to make the purchase, right? I mean, I don't know about you, but I don't think I've ever personally myself, I don't think I've ever just received a text message and goes, "Oh, yeah, I'm gonna go
yeah,
buy that new Ruger 1022." No, usually, like, I'm like, it usually starts a conversation going, "Huh, that's cool. Let me learn a little. Tell me more about it." Right?
right.
I want to learn more. So it's like, I think as an industry, we have to think about that. Marketing primary objective should be to get into conversation. All right.
That's
And
correct.
this is what, look, for everybody out there watching and listening right now. I know I'm going to push back here a little bit on this, but I'm for the dealers out there watching and listening right now. I know you hire the people you have at your dealership right now because they're charismatic and they're passionate and they're energetic and they're knowledgeable. All right. Like, your marketing should be there with the intent to get them into conversation, because those are the individuals that me as a consumer, I'm going to connect with and ultimately want to do business with. Anyway, sorry, I'll jump off my
No, you're
soapbox
spot
there.
on. I mean, I think it's, I know it's old school, and I've been in the business 20 plus years myself, and I look at it, and I remember back in the day we used to talk about life cycle marketing and monitoring your databases and all that stuff. This is not old news. The difference is that the marketing has shifted, and consumers want fast, easy, frictionless service,
Yes.
both on service and sales, right? And if you're going to send a message, you better darn well know that they're going to engage with you and you know how to answer that question. And they want to be taken care of in a quick way and relevant, and you're answering their question. How many times are you on meetings and people ask a question and you never get your answer, right? And you have to get that answer across the
100%.
text when it comes to texting. And look, we use AI, we have human people, we have all those things, but at the end of the day, you need to make sure that you're doing it. And my final point is, that when we look at attribution, I want to paint the picture of how the campaign does. I
Yes.
want to say, look, they clicked, they engaged, we talked to them, and in your portal with us, if you want to go find Jason Harris, go find him. You can see all the messaging and what they did on the conversation and judge me accordingly. If they engaged and still came in, okay, great. That's fantastic. But my job is to make sure that we're building that relevancy with that data and with your database to make sure that they then do communicate. Because if you do it correctly and you have a great process, the store that I'm at today, they have a great service process. The job is to get more people into that service process so they then stay loyal, that they then convert down the
Well,
road for sales.
I'm glad you brought up service because we actually do have a question from a service manager. Um, is there a way to see which customers actually still own the car before we send out any service reminders or marketing?
Yes, 100%.
There we go.
And I think that it's just 100%. Yes, it's as bold as that statement would be. And there's also ways with OEM lists and things that you would want to look at that the OEM saying, hey, to go after this list, all of you guys are gauged and judged from the OEMs a very specific way that look, you get that defection list, a TLEE, a UIO list, or anything like that. Let's go upload it and let's see who still owns the vehicles. And then we can tackle that marketing and that communication properly.
100%, absolutely. All right, guys. I know we've blown over our hour, but there's so many of you still on the stream. I'm just like, okay, let's do another one. Look, this is I know this is a really timely topic for a lot of you out there, hence the reason why you guys have stuck in. So I know we're not going to get to all of them, but here I do want to grab one more with you real quick, Jim. I'm going to pick it. Here we go. Okay, I like this one because I think this is relevant for a lot of people out there. What's the best process to keep our data fresh, not old sushi? Thank you, by the way, for saying that, without adding more work to my team? It's a great question. And I totally understand where that's coming from because I don't think we dive too much into that in our conversation. We really talked about the importance of
Yeah.
having super fresh, but I can understand what they heard was this is just going to be a lot more work.
It,
Jim, I'll let you take it.
yeah, it's a very good point. And how many of our times do we enter a phone number that is not verified, that the phone number, the service advisor enters it, the BDC? We all live the NA@NA.com world, but none at AOL.com for email addresses. And I think it comes down to data capture in the very beginning of how you engage your customer. And I think that making it simplistic is very key. Too many times you're in schedulers and there's like 50 different prompts and you have to fill everything in and whatever else. And I think people have burner emails. I do. If I want to put an email into something that I don't want to ever talk to you again, I'll put a secondary email in. But then again, how do you then combat that, right? So
Yes.
I think it's in the engagement and the organicness of it is the best way to do it. And when you're talking to your guests, a cell phone number is very prevalent, but you will find that if you engage them through text first, you'll get better data capture. You just will, because it's an easier way for them to fill it out. And at the store level, I do believe you need to make sure that your team at a granular level, make sure that also notate simple things of who owns the car and drives it. Is the wife actually driving it? Is the husband actually driving it? Who owns it? In this world, we lose a lot of that. So that is big. But I can say for T2, what
process.
it is a process.
Right? Like
that is correct.
And I wouldn't necessarily worry too much about what's already happened. Really, for the dealer out there that asked this question, right? Really focus on what your process is going to move forward.
Yep.
Okay, because that's going to look. It's just going to make your marketing better. It's going to make your communications better. All right, and it's going to make things actually a little less expensive.
Yeah,
all of the crap that's already happened, Jim, I know you got some ideas.
I was going to say, make sure like your F&I managers actually put the cell number under the cell block. Make sure they actually put the home number under the home block.
Yep.
And make sure that those things are done. And that's just a mandate from anybody, that if you enter data correctly and effectively, it allows it to stay clean because they're putting it in the right place. And too often, if you work with a vendor that just goes in and scrapes your DMS and they pull out a number, you don't always know if it's a sell. You don't always know that information. So you want to make sure that you do that at the granular. And that's really an advisor and an F&I person are the two keys to that kingdom because they deal with more people than anybody else when it comes to a data capture. So, yeah, that's where I would start.
I love it. And thank you guys for the questions out there. Again, like I said, I know we're not going to get to all of them. I'm going to put them in the show notes and we're going to get to actually answering them all. Hey, real quick, for everybody out there watching and listening right now, Jim, who would like to maybe connect with you and maybe continue some of these conversations, what's the best way to do so?
I say our website's convergenceauto.com. My cell phone, if anyone wants to write it down, is 484-221-2144. I obviously am in the texting space, so text me. And then, anybody of interest, please reach out. I can answer all questions and go from there. But
Awesome.
yeah, look for any ear from anybody that has anything, any follow up, and yeah, go from there.
And for everybody that's still on, I really appreciate you, man. Wow, I'm super impressed. You guys have stayed on this long, and it just goes to show that you guys are committed to being a game changer yourself, and you guys understand that data is going to drive profitability for you in 2026. Hey, look, one of the biggest compliments you can give myself or Jim or any content creator out there is share the show. Look, I know you're not necessarily going to comment or repost and subscribe and all this other stuff out there, but I will say the biggest compliment you can ever give us is to share the show. If you got a friend, a colleague, or a manager that needs to hear some portion of today's conversation, share the show. It means a lot to us. Jim, thank you so much for your time today. This has been a blast for everybody out there watching and listening. Happy holidays. Thanks, guys.
Happy holidays to you, and thank you, everybody.